Hi everyone, you need to watch this. London Mayor Sadiq Khan has called for a pause in weapons sales from Britain to Israel. He's saying this, I assume, in the aftermath of Israel accidentally hitting those aid workers. I want you to watch what he says because it's frankly very telling. Have a listen.
What we've seen since October the 7th, and not just what happened in Israel on October the 7th, and by the way, those hostages should be released, but the awfulness was happening in Gaza. 33,000 people have lost their lives.
Okay, first of all, 33,000 people. It seems from what we understand, almost 1 in 2 are Hamas terrorists. So he says 30,000 people. Are you lamenting the death of terrorists? Bizarre. And then it's insane to me. He talks about, oh, by the way, the hostages should be released. The whole war is a response to this awful massacre, and Israel's doing what they have to do. But no, he laments all the men and women who are suffering and dying in Gaza. This is all at Hamas's door. All the responsibility should be laid there.
And women and children, 13,000 children have lost their lives, and we saw in the last 48 hours 7 aid workers, 3 British, being targeted. You know, not 1 car, not 2 cars, 3 cars.
Targeted. Yeah, in other wars, Western wars, it's an accident, and no one pays attention. But here, he's saying that Israel targeted them and are looking to cause harm and murder.
By the Israeli Defence Force. In my view, the fact the government's not publishing the legal advice, one can only draw one conclusion. I think the government should be pausing all sales of weapons to Israel. I think we should be holding to account the Israeli government. Rishi Sunak claims to be chums, best friends, special relationship with Benjamin Netanyahu. Where's the evidence? We're using that influence to put pressure on the Israeli government. And I worry every hour this war goes on,
It's insane. Pressure on the Israeli government. The world has its entire magnifying glass put on Israel, holding them to not just double standards, but triple standards. One rule for Western democracies, another for dictators, and another for Israel. Israel makes one mistake, and now we should stop supporting them in their war to defeat a genocidal neighbor because they make one mistake. Do you get how hate-filled this is? How ideological this is? That this is not about legitimate grievance. This is about ideology. Saying that we should pause weapons sales to Israel, first of all, I don't think Britain is a minor supplier of weapons, but they still do supply weapons. And on top of that, you've got the London mayor, where frankly, this is not your role. What are you doing? Why don't you deal with the issues on London streets, where crime is extremely high, but also hate crimes towards Jewish people, by the way, are extremely high, where many London Jews are worrying about their safety walking the streets of central London because there are these regular hate marches he allows. That's his responsibility, but instead he wants to act as if he's the prime minister. It's just not his lane. Stay in your lane. But even if we want to indulge his words, the hypocrisy, the ideology is so clear that this is not really about his moral compass. This is about demonizing Israel. They make one mistake and suddenly he says, end all weapon sales to Israel. Their whole cause is no longer something we should support. Are you getting it yet? Are you realizing that trying to dance to Western standards of morality, which Israel has been doing since the start in a way that's never really been seen before in urban warfare, and still the haters are going to hate, and still people aren't really going to care, whether it's Biden, because he has to appease his base, or Khan, or other leaders. And so I think the message is becoming very clear. Israel needs to just do whatever they need to do and see if they have any friends left at the end. Because the standards are so obscene. Even when they're making mistakes, they're doing this at a time of having to respond to the worst massacre seen on their people since the Holocaust. And as people make inevitable mistakes in war, you start, oh, but you did. It's so cruel. It's so sick. Israel accidentally hit some of their own people a few months prior. Mistakes happen in war. All war is tragic. But what I don't really understand, what I'm struggling to get my head around is that people complain so much about but there's so many innocents caught up in Gaza that are suffering. There has to be some level of complicity that we hold Gazan society to. When 71% plus, according to a very recent poll taken in March, still support what they did on October 7th. That's how we treated Nazi Germany, where only about 44% of the populace voted for the Nazi Party in 1933 before their terrible war crimes and before the Holocaust. And we held Nazi Germany accountable. And yet we just suddenly say but it's just a few people, Hamas, and we've got to protect all the civilians. Oh no. This is not what polling tells us. This is not what common sense tells us. It's like what Douglas Murray said. He knew that the focus would be on the Israeli response within hours of October 7th happening. It is so sick. What Israel's trying to do is just, is necessary. And I think the obvious conclusion that Israel is coming to and Israeli society are coming to is that even when we try to dance to the Western standards of morality, the world doesn't seem to care, which shows that this is not about legitimate grievance. This is about ideology. This is about hostility to the Jews and double standards to the Jews. And so instead, Israel needs to just do what they need to do to protect their people. And if you're worried about, will they support us or not, it's a very risky path to start trying to appease and dance to their tunes. Do what you need to do. I think that's the Torah way, that's the moral way. And it's becoming more and more risky to say, well, we've got to appease, we've got to dance to people's tunes, because their standards are going to they're already ridiculous. They're going to get more and more ridiculous and insane. And so that's just clearly a very dangerous path to go down. I'm Ollie Anisfeld, and you're watching JTV. Hi everybody, thanks for watching. If you want to watch another one, click here. If you want to subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest JTV content, click here. And if you're feeling really keen, you can click the join button down below underneath this video, where you can get perks including early access to new videos and private live discussions with me, where we can talk about JTV content and strategy moving forward, and I'll get to hear from you. Thanks again for watching.